Amatha Ratsombath was lost in life, floundering somewhere between the French ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity and the urban ghettos of Paris, filled with disenfranchised immigrant youth. He would find a path in life through martial arts, and after relocating to his ancestral homeland of Laos, discover his inner self. Amatha recently led the Laos national Brazilian Jiu Jitsu team to its first international competition at the 2023 SEA Games in Cambodia, and he is now preparing for a history-making appearance at the 2023 Asian Games. His mission: to elevate the profile of Lao martial arts on the international stage.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of C4 Podcast, Southeast Asian Athlete Achievement Through Adversity. My name is Coach Andetka. I'm here with my co-host, John Messina. We have an exciting guest on today. Actually, we have a guest from Laos that is actually in Laos versus, like a lot of our guests were probably born here in the States. So we're actually doing this with a 12-hour, it's our first time with a 12-hour time difference. It's 7 p.m. here in Chicago, and it's 7 a.m. there in Vientiane, Laos. So if you guys haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe, and, follow us on Facebook. If you know any great athletes that you would like to see or hear on the show, please let us know. Send us a message, okay? So without further ado, let me send it over to my co-host, John.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. We have a very interesting guest today. But first, I wanted to thank everybody that listens to the podcast and all the followers of the Lao American Sports Hall of Fame. We actually met Amatha, today's guest, at the SEA Games in Cambodia this last year. And I just want to thank a couple of people. Laos has limited funding, and we were supported by several individuals and some organizations to take our athlete contingent there. So a special thank you to Lao TV Canada and the National Lao Golf Association. Check out these organizations on their Facebook pages and the website. Lao TV Canada did several interviews with the athletes that we brought, including my own daughter, Angelina Messina, Dawson Sihavong, the Dirksvager sisters, and Jed Slayman, who was the first Brazilian Jiu Jitsu silver medalist for Laos. And that's what brings us to our guest today. We actually met him through the Slayman family while there, and we're working on some other things together for some future games, which we probably can't talk about today because it's still in development, but a lot of exciting stuff to come. So with that, I'm going to have Amatha introduce himself and tell us a little bit about his origins in Laos. And he actually grew up in France, but is back in Laos now. So Amatha, tell us about your early years.
Oh, thanks first for having me. And probably the first French guy, and not Lao American, Lao French.
Yeah.
Sure. So for you,
you are the first French, yes.
Luckily, I'm a French who can speak English, which is not also very common, I guess. So yes, I was born in France. Actually, my parents were Lao, both of them. My dad came from Vientiane. And my mother originally came from the south, from Paxé. But they met in France. They met in France in the mid-70s. After 1 week or so, they decided to marry because we're stronger together. Imagine them in the 70s. They don't speak the language. They're bumping into each other. I don't really know the details. And yeah, male, female, they quite look good. Okay, let's be together and destroy it together. I think it's probably how it happened more or less. And they had 4 kids, and I'm the second. 4 kids.
I'm sorry, real quick, because you mentioned the mid 70s. They met in France. So was that right after the war, and they left Laos?
No,
and ended up meeting there?
No, they didn't. They didn't flee the war. They were not what we call the boat people. They left before they were sent to study. Actually, they were lucky enough to have, in these times, some families, when they could afford to send one of their kids abroad for studying, they would just pick up one and send them. And most of my parents were the chosen ones to study abroad, and that's how they met, and they left before the war, actually.
Okay.
I
didn't mean to interrupt. Please continue.
No, and so I'm the second of 4 siblings, and we're very close, actually. older sister, my younger brother, we just follow each other. My sister likes to call me the next egg because we have something like a 10 months difference. She was born in September 76, and I was born in July 77. So right after my mother gave birth, she right away fell pregnant with me. Then my brother just coming something like September also on 78. So just right afterwards. So we grew up like triplets actually, but we had also a small sister. The little one who came 9 years later. She was the baby one of the siblings.
Yeah.
So the two of us are following each other. We grew up together, and 9-10 years later, our little sister came into our family.
Okay.
Yeah, if you have any questions, just ask.
Yeah. So at what point did you get into martial arts as a kid, as a teenager?
Like every kid, you're watching. Anyway, it was the Bruce Lee era, the Jean-Claude Van Damme era. Of course, you're influenced by this. With the VHS, we coming with your friends. We had the chance to have VHS in the 80s as well. Kids now, they don't understand because they have YouTubes and everything is coming here. Yeah. But at this time, nobody has a VHS. It was something that was something that's not that common, and had to find the copies of the videos, video clubs, a lot of piracy, a lot of copy of movies. Sometimes rent in shops, and I watch these kind of movies. But I did not really fall into martial art at this time. It came quite later actually. I was really an adult. I was my mid 20s actually. I used to do my first sport where was handball. We say handball, but I don't say in English. It's a German sport. That's why we say handball. It's when you're dribbling with a small ball and trying to. It's like basketball, but with a small ball and with a football cage, soccer cage.
Okay.
When I was a kid, and did many kind of sport. At the time when we were kids, our dad tried to train us with Muay Thai and Muay Lao when we were kids. He made us wake up every morning at 6 and run and do all this kind of exercise. And it was actually a first introduction to martial arts. Muay Lao was something like, I think I was 7, 8, something like this. But it didn't really last. My dad didn't find the courage to keep pushing up every morning. And we're just playing with my brother, but nothing serious actually. Nothing really serious.
Yeah. So even before you got to your 20s, though, your family faced quite a bit of adversity with your parents splitting up, right? Tell us a little bit about that, what you're comfortable talking about, and what you had to go through.
And the first thing is that when you come here, not now. Now it changed a bit, but a couple of years before, a lot of people when they were seeing a Lao who was or people there were constantly people going abroad and people who were born abroad, like they were automatically phalanx and rich people, and there's always expecting you to bring something, pay for things, and they don't realize that some are doing good, but some are not doing that good. And it was the case of my parents. We're not really rich people, We were actually living at 6 in 20 square meters apartment in Paris, a small flat, two rooms, and it get us closer. But it's also all the promiscuity of living together in such a close space, and my parents didn't have that good incomes. My dad didn't work that much, even if he was very, very talented man. He was a very gifted man, but somehow lazy, I guess. Sometimes maybe too spoiled by his parents, because he both of them came from good families, kind of wealthy families at the time. My mother was she was the bread earner actually, but she worked as a clerk in a grocery shop for almost all her life, and she was the one who was providing for us. Working up every morning at 5 o'clock to go to a shop, and and yeah, and she was the real support of the family. But of course, my dad was the boss because he was the dad. In the Lao culture, it's kind of this way.
Yeah.
And of course, he was the smarter one because he felt that he was the smartest, even if it was true, he was always smart. But with years, and I realized how my mom was so wiser than him, so wiser than him, and so gifted. She had so many hidden talents that I discovered even in late years. You know, by example, at the end of her life in the 60s, she got a kind of passion for hairdressing. And in hairdressing, you have to draw models and some kind of hair designs. And I found her doing incredible portrait of people, and I didn't know that she was good at drawing. And what the day when I really realized how why she was is actually the first 6 months when I arrived in Laos and started my seminar in 2009. My mother came after 6 months to visit me and to stay with me. And in French, she always speak to me in Lao. Always speak to me in Lao. I always speak to her in French. And when she was in Lao with me for these first months, she always speak to me in French. And to a point when she was trying to annoy me, Mom, why are you speaking to me in French? And she looked at me. She said, because, no, let me correct. I said, yes, Mom, why do you speak to me in French? And we never did that before in France. In French, you always speak to me in Lao. And she looked at me and said, when you were in France, I didn't want to forget. I didn't want. When you were in France, I didn't want you to forget your Lao. Now that you're in Lao, I don't want you to forget your French. And it struck me so hard because
That's good. That's funny.
her, and I realized, oh, yeah, she got the point. She got the point.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She's wise. Yeah, definitely wise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, so we're kids of immigrants, and it's also in a small apartment in Paris, but also not in very nice neighborhoods. I don't know if I can. What?
How was it like growing up in where were you guys in Paris or a big city or? And it's like were there other Laotian families over there time, or was it all French? Was it all different? All European? Was it did you have?
No. This is the funny part of this is the funny part of my story, in what maybe make it, me and my siblings a bit particular. We were born in Paris, which is the capital city of France.
Mm-hmm.
But it was kind of the ghetto area of Paris. It was the 13th district, which is also the Chinatown. But actually, we were not in Chinatown. We were Chinatown was a few blocks above our streets, but we were in the kind of African Arabic neighborhood. So all of my friends and childhood friends are actually people coming from Africa, North Africa, and Arabic countries and Muslim countries actually. So we grew up in France in the Chinatown, but not not surrounded by Asian people actually, which is quite rare. Most of French people, Lao French, they're going together, speaking the language together, and meeting each other. And it was not really the case. We met Lao people quite regularly through my father, because he was running a kind of association of Lao people in France. So he was the president of this association, and he was running some kind of boon or celebrations quite regularly, yearly or 2 times a year for Lao people together. And we had some kind of political meetings at home, with my father bringing up all his friends and talking about how they wanted to I wouldn't say install democracy, but all these topics that were in the this time, and often our people abroad talking about politics outside of the country. So it was not wealthy or whatever, but it was very happy. Really loved my childhood. We really had a good time with my brothers and sisters and siblings. And the first part of my childhood was very happy, to be honest. Like you said, yes, not meaning the financial aspect, because we're very poor. We didn't really have the nice clothes that all the kids had. Sometimes I learned it when I was older, but my sister that sometimes my mom had to go to the how do you call that? Sorry,
It's like
every time
we
that
call like the Goodwill or like this thrift store, secondhand.
yeah, no, to get some food and
Oh, okay,
so
food bank or something. Yeah.
yes, so I didn't know it until I was adult, but my sister told me that yes, she used to go with my mom to go there, but I didn't realize it as a kid, and I didn't really understand really the struggles of my parents actually, and they didn't really show it, they didn't share this kind of things. But actually, for me, I felt that I have very good memory of this time. But when the struggle started, when my dad actually had to go to Laos in '92, I guess, '94. I don't remember the exact year, because actually his own mom was dying, and my dad was kind of the favorite of this family. That's also why he was sent abroad, and he I can to understand he wanted to say goodbye to his mom. So he went to Laos, and at this time we were not. I think we already had the French citizenship, but my dad never applied for it. He applied for us, for my mom and for us, the kids, but he never planned to have it. He always kept his Lao nationality because he always planned to come back here. It was his plan from the beginning, and so he was on a visa here. And since his mom was sick for a long time, more than 6 months. Um, his sauf-conduit, his authorization to leave France to come expired, and he couldn't come back. For what I understood at first. So it was traumatizing for me. Not really for me, I would say. I was very um, worried about my little sister. She was 6 at this time, and my dad loves her so much. He used to call her my little princess every time, every day. He really loved her, and I couldn't really understand how a dad could abandon such a young kids. And this is probably one of the turning point of my life. At first, first summer I was very happy because when you don't have your dad on your back, you're a teenager. I was 14 this time. You kind of feel freedom, but freedom is it's not an easy gift. You have to deal with it. It's not freedom is not free of charges. It's something that you Americans know very well. It's not something that something first you have to deserve. It's something also that comes with responsibilities. And I was probably too young to take these responsibilities, to assume or to understand what's happening. And so the first years, the first months, the first couple of months, I was happy until I realized that he would not come back. He said that he wouldn't come back. So it impacted me because my sister. And it's also 14, it's also an age when probably you need your dad a lot. You need a male figure in your household. I was starting, to grow, to change, facing all the things that all teenagers are facing, puberty and how to deal, with what's happening when you're a teenager. And it was difficult for me to a time that a lot of my mom couldn't manage me. Actually, I guess in all families we have one kid who is kind of the black duck, we say in French. The
Black sheep.
naughty kid.
Black sheep in the
Yeah, black
English.
sheep.
Right.
Yeah, black sheep, and I was the black sheep actually. I was quite the naughty kid. So my mom couldn't manage my character. She was overwhelmed by me, and my brother and sister was also supporting her, which was the good the good attitude. And to a point when I get kind of hard work with my siblings, and to a point also when I drop out of school. Actually, from last I kept in school for from 14 to 16 when I enter high school. And after high school, I dropped out of school. I just did. They don't want to go there. Okay, I don't go there anymore. And so when that I think that I was in kind of severe depression for these years actually, these first years, and it was one of the consequence of this depression. Okay, I didn't talk to my family for long years. I dropped out of school. I was doing nothing, staying home, playing video games, and kind of things. And the only thing that I did, took a personal responsibility about it, was taking care of my little sister. So I tried to make sure that um, she had a male figure, a father figure at home. So even if I didn't really, was my relationship with my dad and my older sister and my younger brother were not good, I tried to make sure that she was doing well. I was, taking her to school, picking her from school, making her do her homework. She was my link to my family. Actually, she was my link to my family for quite long years. Actually, that's why also we had special relationship, me and my younger sister, because of that. And she was my gate to the world, something like this. She was my gate to the world. And so it was not short. It lasted something like 7 years. Imagine from 14 to 21, being a lost kid, not going to school, not working, not hanging out at night. Luckily, I was out of drugs and out of. I didn't really into these kind of things, but with no future, with no plans, with no ideas. And what was maybe worse is I had a big influence of my youngest brother who dropped school also quickly after me, maybe 1 or 2 years, something. I think at the same time, at 15 or 16, he also dropped out of school at the same time, also, at the same level at the high school. And then and that's it. And he was doing his stuff, and that was it. But my relationship with my brother was difficult at this time. We were fighting a lot. Were disputing, arguing a lot. And in my state, also hijack the room that we used to share when we were a kid. But I took it like my personal space, and I was very selfish, like a selfish kid who were a bit lost and we didn't really know how to handle me. My mom didn't know how to handle me. My brother and sisters didn't know how to handle me. It was, and I was not doing good. No school. I was getting a lot of weight, get overweight, and it was a very bad pass, very dark time of my life. Yes.
So tell us about the turning point now. So tell us how things turned around and what was that? What was that moment that changed for you?
I realized that my family situation was not good, and decided that I need to escape from it. I need to find a way to go out of my home and to take distance from my family, because the things were getting worse. And at this time, we still had this drafting conscription army. So I said, okay, I'm 18 now. I want to go to the army. I want to join the army, not as a professional. They were not professional army in France at the time. It was conscription, but you could be volunteer to anticipate your drafting time. You're supposed to do 1 year, and I wanted also to take this opportunity to visit the world. And I heard that when you were volunteering in the army, you could choose your destination, and wanted to see other countries. So I went to the recruiting officer, And you go, you have your medical exam, etc. They come up with your medical file. And when I went there, I say, hey, I want to be a volunteer. So you skip the line, okay, because they really like volunteering. And there's two things that I learned with this. But let's start by the beginning. I told him that I want to be I want to be a paratrooper. And he looked at me, almost laughed at me because I was something like 100, 120 kilos for I don't know how much it makes in pound because it's your
That's 250 some pounds.
yeah for 177, so 5'6" something like this for you.
So
So I
you're a
was
big guy. Yeah.
yeah I was not the big guy, I was heavyweight. I was
Yeah.
obese. But you know it in America. I don't have to explain this because it's something that is brand in your country. But at my time, it was not something that was common. I was a little obese kid, um, out school with no plan in the future, and wanted to enter one of the elite corps in France. If if I was applying for the SEALs or the Rangers or whatever, in America. So the officer almost laughed at me. He didn't say it this way. We say, "Look at you," but he was thinking, "Look at you." And he said, and I was very pissed off. I was very, very, very pissed off, and I was very. My ego took a toll on this, and there's this time. In the second train, he asked me, "Where do you want to go? You volunteer. Where you want to go?" And I was very damn time, and I said, "I want to go as far as possible." I was not precise. I said, "I want as far as possible," thinking that they would send me abroad. Actually, they didn't send me abroad. They just sent me in the cold mountain in France, in a mini camp. It's a good lesson of I have to be assertive. I was not clear. My brother did the same, but he was smarter than me and had to go in Africa. So he had an incredible time in Africa in his time in the army. But I went in France, in the northeast of France, in the mountains, minus 20 degrees, camping, and etc. This is the second part of the story. But the first part is what happened when they send me home and they say, okay, don't dream about it. You won't enter the paratroopers. It's something that never happened with your condition. So I was very, very, very. How would say in English? My ego took a toll on it, and from the time you go to the recruitment office and the time you were drafted, there's some time passing. I think it's 1 year, only 1 year and a half, something like this, or a few months, at least few months. I don't remember really the amount of time. And from the next day to the day of my recruitment, I trained every morning. I woke up at 5, running in the woods with rangers, and doing all this kind of exercise and pull up, push ups, everything, until I lost something like 40 kilos. I went there. I was 83. I was the best shape of my life. Probably. I was and I was coming from far, and start running. I think I didn't run more than 30 seconds until when I ended my training. I could run, like like not like marathon, because in the marathon, but half an hour, 1 hour, no problem. I was very in good shape, and that's how I entered the army. And you have this training phase. You have 3 weeks when they are incorporating you, and they will sort you out by what they call the CG, the CG code. It is the code that a medical code that give you that classify you, as what are your physical abilities, and so you're supposed to go in this kind of corps, but you have first a general training, handling weapons, physical training, etc., etc. And actually, I did very good. I did you have all these written tests, and after we have a kind of a trek. How do you call it? Military march, with the bags and weapons, and working hundreds of kilometers, and people, and you don't sleep, and they try to push you and try to see how you can stand. And at the end, I was decorated by the colonel. I was the five first of the out of the class of the contingent, or I don't know how to say in English. No, but
the company or the platoon, or we have different words.
Not platoon, but there's the number of people are coming this year. Of this month, we have numbers.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
At the same time.
Yeah, the class or whatever. Yeah.
Class, yes. And so I came up among the five first. So I have the opportunity to get my decoration by the corner of the camp. Actually. So I want to understand, and I did in the written test. I was a third. But the two above me didn't do the walking, the trekking, so they were not counted. So, but basically was, and I did this, and so basically was I ended up at the class on this exercise actually. So it was, and I was even nicknamed Rambo by my friends.
Nice.
Yeah, because in the work, some of my friends couldn't get the. One of my friends was asthmatic. He was a short guy, was not in shape. He couldn't take his backpack, so I had to for a portion of the work. I had to take my backpack and take his backpack and walking through the woods but it's been great. I was feeling all these guys suffering, but I was feeling it's okay. No, it's just the woods, walking and running and climbing the hills and I was very proud of me, of this achievement, coming from overweight kid to someone who can surpass everyone on this here. I was feeling good. So I was expecting, and I was I wanted to experience the armed force. I wanted to learn how to use a gun. I wanted to go to a combat company. It was my intention. But because of my CG code, the code that the medical examiner that examine you in your entry, the 1 year before, they sent me as they appointed me as a gardener, So I did all this hard work and this good result, and they ended up in gardening. And I was once again very pissed off. And and because I really wanted to feel what it is to be
like a real soldier,
real soldier, to feel how it is. It was my goal was to understand what you feel, what you can learn from, and I complained. I said, okay, I went to another camp, and I told the colonel of this camp, listen, I finished among the first of my class, and there's a rule. The rule is that if I finish with these people, I can choose my affectation. And I wanted to, and I told him I want to go on combat. And he said, yes, you're right. You have the right to choose. Okay, they had different companies there, but I wanted to go in this specific company, and they said, okay. But it took something like 6 months, and in 6 months, not training anymore and not doing this, I lost a lot of my shape. And when I got incorporated in the fighting company, it was hell, because they were already had a good cohesion. They were training for 6 months together. I felt like I was an outsider, and actually I never managed to incorporate the group. So I tried, but also I realized that army was not for me. Okay, so I did what I had to do. I learned a lot of stuff, and I also realized that I was a free man.
Yep.
And I was not someone I can really take orders from others. I was a rebel when I was a kid, and I was a rebel when I went to Germany. I'm still a rebel in a way. My life was led by this kind of doing things a bit off track. That's why also I'm here in Laos doing what I'm doing. And I decided to talk to my lieutenant and say, yeah, I don't feel good here. I don't know what, you know. And he just said, okay, so leave. Okay. And when he was taking leave, was deserting. I said, okay. So I decided to leave the army and to not come back. But of course, there's consequences.
Yeah.
Military police are running after you, because it's illegal. So I got back home, but I was changed. Yeah, I was changed. I was a bit of equal shape. I got back home, but I wasn't at peace because every time that, like I told you, I was living in a kind of ghetto neighborhood, and we had uh, police control, not every day, but with my group of friends. Of course, they stop you and they ID you, and of course, I'm going in the file. Of course, I'm ending up in the police station because I don't have this deserter. And so I would say.
Oh yeah, you got a warrant, we would say, for your arrest. Yeah.
Exactly. So luckily, French police is not like American police, because I could have got shot because I'm not really that compliant. I would say not fighting with the police, but teasing them, roasting them a bit, and not really to comply. But one day they will have two kind of police. We have the national police in France, and we have the kind of gendarmerie, which is the army police. It's also one of police force, but also the kind of it's a corp. It's corp in itself. It's in France, and in charge of people like me. And one day, one of the guy came to me and talked to me, and not like threatening me like the other cops were doing. When I was controlling the street, they handcuffed me and threatening me for this and that, going to jail. This one was just talking to me like an adult to a kid, and he said, "Yeah, you should go back and just if you want to go out of the army, do all you have to do, all the paperwork, and make it official." And I say, yeah, I'm just running away. There's no point, running. They will just follow me all my life, and there's no point doing this. So I said, okay, I will go back. And he convinced me to go to the gendarmerie station near my house. And but these guys there were not nice. They handcuffed me. They threatened me. One way handcuffed me and wanted to slap them on my face. Okay, go ahead. And it was really threatening. And they put me into a jail. It was army jail, and this was a big turning point of my life. I think probably the most important turning point of my life because it's a concrete jail, 3x3, with concrete bed, with steel sink and the kind of hole in the ground like a toilet with the dry shit inside, and with disgusting place. And I started to cry. I started to cry. So, where are you going? What are you doing? You want to end your life in this kind of place? Come on. I said, you have to do something with your life. Something with your life, or you will just keep going this way, and then you end your life in jail, and you don't want that. Because I understood how much I loved freedom. I couldn't stay in the army because I love freedom, and I cannot go to jail because I love freedom. And that this is a healing point with me. At this point, it's where I reconnected with my family, my brothers, my mother, my sister, and they welcome me like a brother and like a son, and so I went back to the army, and start to do all the process to be released. We call it a P4, the psychiatry release. But it was quite easy, because people took me for a crazy guy already. Because some of the kids.
So what was it? I'm sorry. It was like a psychiatric release. Is that what you said?
Yeah, because there's different. It's the P4. Okay, the CG cup is CG. It's a superior eyes, general legs, and psychiatric. It's one letter has a number from 1 to 5. 1 is the top condition, 5 is the worst condition. And depending on the number of the ranking of each of these fields, you are discharged or not. And P4, psychiatry 4, it's the level when you can be discharged from the army because you're not suitable to join the army. Okay, so and anyway, they have to make me out because I was not really cooperative. I'm not really useful in the corps. But they already thought I was crazy actually because some of the kids who were with me and cooperated with me, some of them stayed and they were there when I came back. And they can find the rumor that I was, the Rambo image that I had. Just the spread like I was a tough guy. I was not a tough guy, but I was. I did not really complying, but to them I was kind of, I was not the guy you have to mess with. Even the officer, they didn't want to mess with me, so I was quite easy for the few weeks. I remained there to get the discharge, and yes, I want to see a psychiatrist. I mean, that in discharge, I mean, I got back to my life, except that I still I still had a sentence to jail. Actually, in France, you also in this country, I was sentenced to 1 month of jail. It didn't happen because the charge was dropped. But yes, there's some consequences about this. And I had it was not my first job, but my first job as a renew kid was at McDonald's. I was just serving sandwiches, and one of my friends was working there, and I was okay looking for a job. And my civil life started from there.
Wow. So to kind of jumping ahead, explain to us how you end up in Laos later in life. How'd you get there? Going back to see your father, and then how'd you end up staying there?
It's actually it's a bit linked because my first time in Laos was in 2003, and so after the army, I tried different stuff, but in my way of healing myself and going forward, I had to confront my dad. I had to see him and ask for answers. So I decided to, yes, at 25, I was 25 this time. Okay, I need to go there. My first time, probably my first trip abroad, and I want to talk. I need to talk to my dad. Why did you leave your family? And it was in 2003. But I come back to the army because it's important because when I was at this time before, when I wanted maybe to make a career there, but I couldn't. So, and that's what led me to Laos. Because if I was able to make a career in the army, I probably wouldn't went to this trip, and I probably came to Laos and learn about the country, learn about my family, get attached to it, and come back. So it's a good thing that I was not good enough to go there, so I could travel and meet my dad and to fall in love with this country and to decide later to come and live here. So how I come there? I decided to come here, but I didn't want to have a special privilege. I wanted to discover by myself the country, backpack, and I just asked my mom to write on the paper in Laos the address of my grandma, so I can just give it to a tuk-tuk, so it can bring me to the from the border to my grandma's house. So I crossed the border, the bridge, took a tuk-tuk, showed the paper, and look at me, and in a strange way, I didn't understand it yet, but actually he was my uncle. The driver who took he was my uncle. And so he brought me there, and there was an old lady waiting, on the stairs in the front of the house. She was, it was something like 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, like same light, very nice light, moving light. And she looked at me. She was already half blind. My grandmother lost her sight in her late days, and she was already half blind, and she couldn't see me. But when I get out of the tuk-tuk, she started to stand up, be very emotional, and she hugged me.
Hmm.
Wow, so she knew it was you, right?
Yeah, she knew I was me, and for me it was like magic. How could
Mm.
she understand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Later
Wow.
on, and later on, I knew that my mom, of course, she told her mom that because she was scared that something could happen. She told my grandma that I was coming. I didn't know because I told her no,
Yeah.
don't tell. I want to
Yeah.
surprise. But she hugged me, and I felt this incredible warm thing that I never felt before. You need to understand, but you can understand because you are also people living abroad from your roots. And for me, my family was six people. Was me and my siblings and my two parents. And for me, it was my family. Cellular family, small family, and didn't even know what it felt to have a grandma. Didn't know what it felt to have uncles
Hmm.
and cousins. And it was my birthday for the coming days, and all these family gathering and celebration, and just for me, and I felt incredible. This warmth, the how a lot of people can be welcoming,
Yeah.
how
Yep.
they make it feel easy, like you're part of them. And it's what understand. Yes, okay. Family is not only six people. Family is this. This is the
Mhm.
feeling of part of family. And this is and this is my country. Yeah, I really felt this way. Also because when I was a kid, when I was in high school and a teenager, I never on time. I was late every day, and I was in retention every end of the week because I was late every day, and could not understand why I was late. And when I came in Laos, and I was all these people who didn't care about time. I said, okay, it's my home actually. I belong here. I felt really home right away.
Yeah.
It was very nice feeling in Laos in 2003. It was not Laos now. Now it changed a lot, but it was. I think we had one traffic light in the city. I remember
Wow.
because my auntie, we went to a restaurant. This is the only traffic light in the country. I was like, really? It was very funny. Uh, I think they were. I don't even know they were ATMs, thing like this, and the Patusai, around the Patusai now it's not there's a park concrete, but it was still dirt. It was earth around the Patusai. It was
Hmm.
Vientiane still had a lot of dirt road in Vientiane itself, so it
Yeah.
was really time. All the girls were wearing skins and and all the
Yeah.
how do you call it?
Traditional
Yeah,
dress, and yeah.
it was the Laos that you see in the pictures. It was
Yep.
uh, very strange, exotic to me. Uh, and also met. Okay, I will come to my dad a bit later. But also, what was also exotic is I wanted to help. And later on, I met my dad. I wanted to help him a little bit, so I changed some money for him because he wanted to fix one of his room in his house. So I gave him change 100 euros. I went to the bank and I went back with a suitcase, like in the mafia movies, because at this time there were only 10,000 bills, you know. So from €1, I had yes, I don't know, millions of clips.
You're a millionaire
Wow.
immediately.
Yeah, I was a
Yeah.
millionaire.
Wow.
I have this picture with like a drug dealer, with this
Yeah.
table with all this this
Well,
this money packed. I mean, it was 10,000 bills. They have no at this time not yet 20,000. Now we have 100,000, but
yeah.
it was a bill. You would still have 1,000. No, 500 keep bills. So it was another world.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah, it was funny. So this was my first time in my family, and after maybe when I decided to go and see my dad, and met him in his house, and he did not expect me for real. He didn't expect me to come, and he was very emotional. He cried and he was happy to see me. And we connected. We were connected and starting afresh and learning to relearn it, to know each other, because we haven't seen. Last time he saw me, I was a teenager. I was 14 years old. 10 years later, 11 years later, I came as a young adult, and to see him, that's it.
Wow. So kind of fast forwarding, yeah, you eventually decide to settle there permanently, and this podcast sports is a big part of it. So maybe tell us about your journey into Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and you're doing something really awesome, kind of trying to establish it in Laos as a sport. So tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, my martial art journey was started after a street fight, actually. So, like in France, reconnecting with some kind of social life. And my teenage friends were playing a lot of football, soccer. We call it soccer there. Football, we call it soccer, football here. But it's a very tense sport, and sometimes it's breaking up into fights. Because there's a lot of ego, there's a lot of group fights. And one day we were into a fight, and we did good. We were a bit older than the team and facing us. Were 5, 6, and they were 12. So we managed to do good. But there were retaliation because one of my good friend was coming from Africa. I told you, was like to fight a lot. I won't blame him because when he arrived in France, he was something like 6, 7, and it was not an easy neighborhood when we grew up. And he was bullied a lot and has to fight to defend himself because he was bullied by a lot of kids. But he was a tough guy, strong guy. And African people are quite strong, but also very, very angry. And so we had this first fight when no one was seriously injured and went well. But we're at the stadium training quite, not every day, but almost, playing football or running, whatever. And he saw one of the kids who had a part of the opposite team who assaulted us, and he wanted revenge. And I said, I'm not someone, I'm a fighter, but I'm not troublemaker. Don't engage fight for pleasure. All the fights I've been involved was for self-defense. I'm never really, I'm not in kind of mood. But my friend was a bit angry and wanted some kind of retaliate on him. And I said, come on, we were 4 of us running. And he was starting to bully him, And this guy started to pick up the phone. And I said, okay, now we have to make a decision. Either if you want to smash him, and we'll go home. But don't let him call his friend because we'll be in trouble. If I don't care, let them come. It's not a good idea. I said, guys, it's not a good idea. He called his friends. 4 of them came armed, quite big, strong guys. One has armed with bottles, kind of steel bar, maybe a knife, maybe a gun. I'm not sure, but I think I saw a gun. It's not like you. It's not maybe not a real gun, but high pressure gun or whatever. And they came at us, and I tried to discuss. Okay, let's go home. We're 2 who wanted to really be easy on this and go home safely. And one of the second friend was also peaceful. Got a bottle smashed on his face right away. So he started to. At the same time, I was hit by behind on my head. I don't really know what struck me, but I had my face swollen. I was bleeding all around, and we spread. We ran apart. And I was running maybe at 100 meters, and I heard my friend screaming like he was dying, like someone was cutting his throat. And I asked myself, what do you do? And I decided to come back. I said to come back. Okay, it's my friend. It's stupid. It's stupid because I could have got worse, but I made a choice to okay to. For me, loyalty and cohesion is very important to me, and I said to come back and help him. I ended up with him being smashed on the ground, kicked on the ground. They were four, we were two. The two of them, the two of our friends, didn't come back. They escaped, um, and yeah, we were beaten until now he has a face. He has 16 points. He has his stitches in his face. But we don't, it was hard at the time, but we don't have real sequels from it. We didn't get stabbed, we didn't get any commotions, we didn't get gunshots. So it was not physically harmed. We were beaten strong. Police came after, the emergency came after also because we were bleeding. He was bleeding. His shirt was full of blood. He has a white shirt which turned red of blood. So we were taken to the hospital for checking, etc. So it was quite a traumatic experience. But we physically recovered. But in this kind of trauma, kind of assault, the physical part is not always the hardest part. Sometimes so for me, it was much more the mental toll I had. I was very traumatized actually. When I was going out of home, I was looking on my back and didn't feel secure. And Thomas said, what do you want? You want to say like this all the time? You want to feel scared all your life? What you do now? What's the next step? And the next step was to learn to fight. And so, like I told you, I was kind of nerdy guy, and I was early for my time in France, early internet user, high speed internet user and stuff. So I started to search for what could I learn, what should I learn, what's available here. And so I tried many classes. I went to many schools until I registered to my first class was a Krav Maga class. Actually, my first martial art was Krav Maga because on the internet I saw that it was the martial art used by the French SWAT team. The GIGN is a French SWAT team, and the trainer of the GIGN was my professor, Richard Uyeb, was the highest ranked in Krav Maga there. So it was good for a couple of months at Krav Maga. I got stronger, more confident, better punches, and better shape overall. And Richard Uyeb was very honest compared to many Krav Maga owner or practitioner, because when he was also training Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and when he was one day he showed us a move, a ground move. Ground is, I don't remember which one. Maybe it was technical stand-up, something very basic, technical stand-up, how to come from the ground to a standing position. And he said, yeah, this move is coming from Jiu Jitsu, from Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. Oh, okay. So look further on, and is there Brazilian Jiu Jitsu in academy in France? Actually, there were two, and I went to one of them. This time it was called the Senkuno, and the Jiu-Jitsu teacher were François Laurent and David Pierlu, who still have my professor until now. And also they were very competent and very known, good reputation teacher in France. And I tried my first class and I loved it. I got smashed, of course. Try your first Jiu-Jitsu, got smashed, and okay. I want to know. I want to understand how this little guy, because it's always the same story. You come to Jiu-Jitsu, you fight with a small guy lighter guy or sometimes a woman. They tap you out. And some people, yes, they pissed off and don't come back. And no, I want to know how this little guy, uh, when I say little guy, I'm not talking about Francois, I'm talking about one of my friends who was already a good practitioner there. How quickly can he tap me out? And that's how I got involved in Jiu-Jitsu. And what was good is it was not just a Jiu-Jitsu class, it was multi-sport. So they were doing Jiu-Jitsu, Nogi Jiu-Jitsu, MMA. We didn't call it MMA then because it was MMA was forbidden. Well, actually, MMA is legal in France only for a couple of years, but we call it pancrat. Yeah. Judo and kickboxing. And I was doing all of them. So I was training 6 days a week, sometimes 2, 3, sometimes 4 hours. I was doing judo and jiu-jitsu or boxing and MMA, and I was training like crazy for something like 2 years, 6 years, 6 days a week, and I loved it. That's how I really entered into martial arts.
Wow. So what's happening in Laos? You're there in your gym. I know you teach classes. You're putting together the Lao national team. Tell us what's going on with BJJ in Laos, and what are your goals?
Yeah, BJJ Laos, it's a long story. It's funny because now we got a lot of attention because of Jed and his results, incredible results in the SEA Games. People think that juice is popping from out of nowhere in Laos. But actually, I tried to teach since I arrived in 2009, and it was a struggle. And you need to understand. Probably that 2009 is not like now. Jiu-Jitsu was still confidential. Now it's all around the world, but in 2009, and just before leaving, I received my purple belt. And when I came here, I wanted to train, and so I looked for a gym. Of course, no gym Laos. The only one I found was in Phuket, I guess. I don't remember the name of the instructor, but I just checked on the website from Laos, and I think he was a blue belt at this time. And yeah, there's nothing. So now I know in Thailand it's way advanced, even Cambodia or they have a high level. But I was there as a purple belt in Southeast Asia. And what do I do now? I didn't have any training partners. How do I keep training? Or how do I improving? I tried to teach the first couple of months with a group of friends here, a group of people. Actually, there was another guy coming from America because there's a lot of foreigner. And an American guy was also a purple belt in Laos. So we trained together for a couple of times. We set up a group and we started to train in Sangdara gym. For those who knows, when Vientiane, Laos, Sangdara was the only gym in Vientiane for 10 years or more. Now there's gyms everywhere, but Sangdara was the only fitness gym in Laos for years. And they had the yoga room there, and dancing room, and we go there a couple of times. But I didn't really, but it was not my priority at this time because you need to understand also that I was fresh arrived in Laos with my backpack, my guitar, and 1,000 euros in pocket. And I didn't come with an NGO. I didn't come for a job. I just come to change life, to live an adventure. And I had to find a job. I had to sustain have some incomes. And for sure, then Jiu-Jitsu was not a way to earn money. And still not a way to earn. Still little. I make incomes from Jiu-Jitsu, but it's really little compared to what they do around. And so I had to find a job. And that's how it's another part of my life. It's how I entered the movie industry. My sister was here already. She moved 1 year before me, and she knew a guy. His name was Anusan Sresagda. He was the CEO of Art Media, which was the first private movie company in Laos. They did Sabadirong Pamang and other stuff. Now they're still doing things with the Matido.
Yep.
Doing good things actually. But the company is something that I don't want to say bad things, but it was Laos style. Okay. So I went there not as a filmmaker, but I went there as IT, because yes, I was a nerd and doing IT, learning a lot of my own, but IT was not enough to sustain my living because there were not real IT job here. Just few computers connected, not real network, not really challenging things, and I had $300 salary and a $250 rent. So it was the fun time, my first year and a half. And it's also what people don't understand here. When a lot of people will see people like me, like foreigner will see people like me, like Lao. So people think that I'm benefiting from both worlds, but actually I have both problems from both worlds. And so when I come to see my boss, okay, boss, I need a raise because I cannot pay my rent, yeah, but you already have a manager salary. I cannot pay you more than $300. In 2009, it's true. It was not.
It's a lot of money in Laos back then. Yeah.
Back then, it was a lot of money already. And so I went to my landlord. Can you get me a lower rent because I'm just making $200 a month, and you ask me 250. I'm struggling. Are you lying? You're a foreigner. You're probably earning 700, 1,000 a month. You're lying. I cannot. I don't give you a discount. So on a year and a half, something, I lived on this. I live on $50 a month. Like I said, I have retail savings, but 1,000 euros and it's not much. And I have to find a solution. So Laura and Kenya were doing movies, kind of movie stuff, but they're not doing video production and services. We had cameras, we had some lightings and stuff. I said, okay, boss, let's do something. I will, if I find projects, manage projects and bring project to the company, can we share? So I'm finding clients, trying to work for you. Instead of paying a salary, we split the incomes from the project. And he said, oh yeah, good idea. Okay, good. So it's how I learned the craft of filmmaking. I was not very new. I was already doing a lot of photography and stuff and music and in France. Actually, I don't like to call myself an artist, but I'm really into these kind of things, image and music, etc., writing, and how to learn the skills from the internet. The internet is at this time it was a 512 K, a very small internet, and when you had all your coworkers who are downloading porn and on the company's internet, is not it's difficult. But I managed to find all the information I needed to train myself, and it's how I became a professional filmmaker, learning how to film, all the techniques, etc. And so the first part of my life in Laos was doing this. I had to leave this company because one is was the time to split the money from the project. The first time it was okay, saying I'm okay, but the few later times, not my boss, more his wife, who was the real owner, she didn't really want to pay me my share, even if I was bringing the work, bringing the work and doing all the work. It's not only this. Okay, I'm leaving. So I decided to leave and to become a freelancer. That's why I became freelance filmmaker. I was not really sure that I could make a living back then, 2010. So I also applied for a tour company and became a tour leader for a company. Now it's closed, called Stray Asia. It's a kind of bus running around Southeast Asia. And actually I can't say I was a guide because you're not allowed to be a guide when you're a foreigner. I was tour leader. So I was trained for a month about all different locations in Laos. It was very good for me because it allowed me to travel all over the country, but also in Thailand. So we had this tour from Bangkok all around to the north, from the north to Laos, to the south and back from the south of Thailand, go to Bangkok. So I spent 6 months working as a tour leader. It was a good time. Good time as learning the country, learning the geography. until
Hey, Amatha, we're running short on time here for the
sorry.
podcast. Could you tell us about what your plans are right now for Brazilian Jiu Jitsu in Laos, and what plans do you have in the upcoming future?
There's the Asian Games, of course,
Hmm.
but my plan is okay. So I was saying that jiu-jitsu was a struggle because when I did not have training partners for the beginning, training at judo for many years, relation with judo and jiu-jitsu was not really good. It was difficult for me also because I was not yet a black belt. I'm not a champion in any title, so I think people they take me seriously for my first time here, and until we decided to compete, and we decided to compete for less than a year. It will be a year and a couple of days. We did with the kids first competition on my birthday on the 29th. So one kid, now we have a team, 6, 7 kids going. And with
Hmm.
Jed also, we went to it was a kind of a bet also. It was not really expected, but managed to go to the SEA Games and we did these incredible results. And it brought a lot of attention to Laos and to Lao Jiu Jitsu because nobody was expecting us. Nobody there knew they were Jiu Jitsu in Laos, except maybe Cambodia and Thai, because I have some connection in Cambodia and
Hmm.
Thailand. But it was a first entry in an international competition. So nobody, all these people, these competitors knew each other because they're competing with each other for long years. They know all each other. And it was the kind of the new guy, and and we were the new guys, and they were not really expecting knowing us. And when they ask, some of the competitors ask, "Oh, who are you? What belt are you?" And the kids say, "Oh, we're blue belts." And there's only black belts. I think it was part of intimidation
Yeah, I remember
strategy.
that.
Yeah, yeah, you were there. Okay, but yeah, okay, but we were confident. I was very confident in them. And when we reach the finals, it's suddenly all people could become our friends.
Hmm.
All the people from the federation, from the Olympic committees, they were all rushed to take pictures. They came to congratulate us, and it's good. It's a true performance. I think that people don't realize. People in jiu-jitsu knows that being a blue belt is really people also tend to think that because they spent time in America, him and Jed and Timo, they kind of like Jessa, and then Jessa Khan, who's in training with the Mendes brothers. That is not the case. They are really real blue belt. 2 3 years of experience, and they're not training even training in sport academy. Their main academy is a self defense academy, and
Yep.
so we had to do a lot of work here on short time in 1 week. We train morning and evening. My goal was my first goal was to assess them, to know what they know, what they can do, to know what the qualities as fighters, and try to complement them to be able to fight this competition, to be able to face the challengers. And Jed did very well. It is very well. Um, I'm half surprised because I don't know how to say that, but um, as a coach, your main job is to observe and to see student, and when I saw him training, especially with Ty and his brother, um, I saw something in the eyes. This kind of the eye of the tiger that I don't see here many often. Uh, and yeah, he has a mindset. He has the physical abilities, and now we need maybe to feel some of the technical knowledge that he doesn't have as a blue belt, because all the people he would fight has higher level, brown, black belts, and very high level. And we managed to do that, and to find the right game plan and to do what we did. And so, because now we have this official recognition, the first step now, still working on it, but it's to establish the Lao Jiu-Jitsu Federation.
Yep.
Go for the next international competition. Keep training the kids, because I'm happy to have all this Lao athletes coming from abroad, but my main goal is to raise the first generation of Lao Jiu Jitsu MMA fighters is my main work is working with the kids every day, every week basis. And on the middle term, develop MMA. For me, I think it's the because there's a lot of potential here. People are spread apart into wrestling, into boxing, into judo, and struggling because sport is you cannot make money here. You know? In any sport, you cannot make
Yeah.
money in Laos. Even as an athlete in America, only few are sponsored. Can make a living from it. You have to be on the top to make a living. Here, it's even worse. And the only way to make money is to go on MMA because this is where the martial arts are going to. This is where is the money. There's a UFC, but there's also one FC here.
Yeah, one championship.
One championship, and my goal is to try to outsource all the talents that we can find here, and create a national MMA team. It's not for now, but it's my midterm goal.
Yeah.
Steps before that, but
Yeah,
I think
sure.
it's the only way for this athlete to make a living. It's not really about me. It's like everything. A lot of people here don't train because they have to eat first. They have
Yep.
to work. They have to sometimes, and if they cannot make a living, they won't be able to perform. Even if they have great potential. Now people are quite strong. They're very strong, very flexible. They have incredible sense of balance. I can say it because of my work also. Like I said, I'm a filmmaker, and sometimes we're going into the jungle for shooting in remote areas, and it makes me love to see all these foreigners coming with all these gears, shoes, hats, backpacks, and being tough in the jungle. And you have the driver coming with the flip flops, and they cannot follow the driver. They
Yep.
allow people climbing mountains, they climbing trees, barefoot, and they have very good physical abilities that are underexploited. Honestly,
Yeah.
there's a lot of I don't know if it's genetic gift or whatever, but for martial arts, for jiu-jitsu, for MMA, they have a lot of qualities that are not exploited, and I
Yeah.
really want to give them this opportunity actually. And like I can announce it to you because it's premiere, and I haven't announced it yet on my Facebook. But starting next season, we will open the first MMA program for kids. So now we have a jiu-jitsu program, but and starting next season, we open also a MMA program. I was doubtful at first because I'm not really for striking, involving striking to kids, but other people are doing it. And other kids are training MMA, and I don't want my kids to be behind because I don't want them to get injured. If then I will do things my way to make sure that they to preserve their integrity, especially about striking. But I cannot let them behind because if kids now start to train MMA and leg locks and kind of stuff, my Lao kids here, my students won't be able to perform and to compete with them. So we already training nogi for leg locks and kind of things that I didn't want to teach at first to little kids. For me, from beginning, it was many on my adults program, but it's a wave, it's a trend that I cannot go against. And if students in other academies are doing it, I cannot let my student behind because they won't be able to, so they can be injured. That's my main problem. My main issue, I don't want them to go in competition and get injured. They have to be prepared. They have to know what's happening and not to have, you need to have an answer to it.
Yeah, that's exciting. So we really look forward to following you. It's only the beginning. So I know Brazilian Jiu Jitsu has been there for a while in some form, but with all the attention brought to it with the SEA Games, your plans, hopefully we'll be announcing the Asian Games plans soon. For those of you who don't know, Asian Games is China this fall, September, October. We're hoping to make a big presence there. We'll be announcing that shortly.
Helping us.
Yeah. And so
Like,
that'll be exciting as well. And then it sounds like the future's wide open. So we look forward to kind of keeping in contact, you following your journey as you bring Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, MMA, and just keep up in the level in Laos. Because the one thing I would say is you're right. There's a lot of untapped potential.
Yeah.
And if we find the right athlete with the right training, with the, the right financial backing, et cetera, there's the sky's the limit. So thanks so much for everything you're doing. We look forward to following you. Everybody follow BJJ Laos on Facebook, Instagram, and you'll be able to follow Amatha's journey into the future. Ko, anything else as we wrap up?
Thank you. Thank you, Amatha, for coming on. And thank you for sharing a lot of your, personal details as you were growing up and everything you experienced there. That was really, really refreshing to hear. That was, I mean, if there wasn't a time constraint, we could have gone, a lot longer. So, but yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. There's really, you remind me of one of our other guests, Kenya. I was like, well, you should write a book, man. You have a book. You have enough to write a book. Very interesting, and just your story is very different, very unique. So, yeah, it's great. The things you're doing with BJJ and Laos, man, that's great. I mean, looking for that right competitor and then training him to be, a potential champion, to have some champions that come out from Laos, in Southeast Asia area. So yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, we can talk anytime, That's true. I was very, about the personal stuff. For a long year, I was not comfortable with it, but it's also what made me who I am. So
yeah, that's what this podcast is about. Is about our achievement through adversity. That's the A and the A. Asian athlete achievement through adversity and everything that you overcome. And now look at you now, and you're getting to pass it on to a younger generation. Of athletes in Laos. So it's very memorable. It's awesome.
Great. All right, Amatha. Well, thanks so much. We appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
The C4 podcast is brought to you by the Lao American Sports Hall of Fame. Visit us on the web at laoamericansports.com, celebrating the first, inspiring the next.